Good morning. It's Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. And if you've been following along in these videos, you may know that I've already done two videos, memories about when I worked with the MGM movie star Myrna way back it was in 1978 in New York City. Well, I thought of another memory. I was the production stage manager for this show. It was a British comedy called Relatively Speaking. And I was assisting the director, Phil Osterman, and particularly the star, Myrna Loy. And I was only hired to work while they were rehearsing in New York, and then they were going to take the show on the road across the U.S. on a national tour. So, for several weeks, I was arranging the rehearsals, picking up Myrna from her home in Manhattan, bringing her to the rehearsal studios, all of these things. And then, when it came time for the cast and everyone to travel, I think some of them, it wasn't a large cast, some of them may have driven from New York to Ohio. I remember they were going to open the show in Ohio. Well, Myrna wasn't going to be driving. She was flying, and I'm sure first class, with Phil. So I remember I helped them get all packed and ready to go and all. And Phil asked me if I would apartment sit for him while he was gone. So I was at his house, his apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And this was before cell phones, before personal computers, 1978. Well, I, said goodbye to them, and they went off to the airport and all, and I went up to Phil's flat to take care of the dog and water the plants, blah, blah, blah. Well, while I was at Phil's flat, the telephone rang, and it was Phil. He was at the airport, LaGuardia, I think. They were about to board the plane. I mean, they hadn't left yet. And Phil frantically is calling me. He said, "David, I don't think I forgot to bring the music for the show," which back then there were no CDs. It was like on a reel-to-reel tape recording, But it was a very important element for the show. And it was at his flat. I mean, I think I looked at it while I was on the telephone, and I said, "Oh yeah, it's right here." And Phil said, "You have got to get here as soon as you can. We'll take it with us, So I jumped in a taxi cab and I said, "I need to get to LaGuardia as soon as possible." So we're traveling like a bat out of hell to LaGuardia Airport and all. And this was before airport security as well in 1978. There used to be a famous commercial. I don't know if you've ever seen it. O.J. Simpson, long before his other claim to fame, was running through an airport. I think it was for Hertz rental car or something like that. But it was very famous, very popular and all. Well, I'm running through the airport with this tape box in my hand, and I'm shouting, screaming, "I've got to get this to Myrna Loy. She's on that plane." And I had the gate number and all of that. Thank God I was still in my 20s, and I could still move pretty quickly, so I'm running. And when I got to the gate, I could see out the tarmac out on the window. They had boarded. It hadn't taken off, but they had moved the plane back. They were ready to go, And I handed this to the ground crew, the person at the gate, and I said, "Myrna Loy is on that plane, and she has got to have this for her show." I watched this happen. The woman took the tape, gave it to the ground personnel. They got it down on the tarmac. I could see them. They opened the cockpit window. They handed it to the pilot. And then the plane went off. That was Myrna Loy, who hadn't been a major movie star in maybe 40 years. She was famous and all, but, her star had dimmed a bit, but people knew who she was, and they stopped the plane for her. That's Myrna Loy. Star power. Be fabulous.